Awesome, you guys have overcome the 30 habits to avoid change mentality shift. That's amazing. You're gonna fundamentally change your personality, which is just awesome. That's the best way to create tremendous friendships and surreal success with everything you do. So with that said, let's move over to the computer today, and we're gonna look at value creation and also 28 questions to reflect on and use as a way to grow yourself, just like the things we just talked about. These are going to be taking those principles and applying them into direct questions that you can take action on right now. Sound good? Let's go over to the computer. So here's the deal. You got to remember, we've talked about it before, you can't get something for nothing, all right? At the very basis of humanity, you have to give to receive, right? Now this can be, giving time, or it can be giving value. Now what you want to do, right, is you want to focus on value so you're not trading your time for money, so that you can receive the monetary equivalent of the value that you create. And if you're trading your time for it, totally cool. A lot of people are employed, but the goal, right, is to get to a point where you're trading, maybe your money, your investments. You're becoming an investor. You're running your own little business, right? So you can have massive value by using the value of your investments and the value of your intelligence and thinking to grow rich, right? To work towards your overarching long-term goals. I mean, unless one of your goals is that you want to work, somewhere for the rest of your life and work 8 hours a day every day, which totally cool if it is. But for most people, that's really just a means to an end, and that end is financial freedom. So that's why it's super important that we focus more on creating value than we focus on trading over our time or giving our time to receive money. Make sense? So this really important concept that Hill outlines here is that basically everybody wants money, right? Like everyone wants more money. But you have to make sure, if you're looking for a raise, if you're looking to change your position, if you're looking to maybe launch a new product or service in the marketplace, that you're worth more than you're currently asking. Now you might be asking, all right, well, how do you get yourself to be worth more, right? Currently asking for. Now remember, asking for is just what you're asking the marketplace for. So this could be, an hourly wage. This could be maybe the price of your service or your goods, right? If you want to increase maybe the number of goods, greater number of goods, if you're selling goods, whatever you want to do to increase quality and quantity. And then obviously spirit is an overarching thing that's super important for you to master, like with friendship and group building, stuff like that. So when you're looking at becoming worth more than you're currently asking for, the biggest thing that most people think of when they think how they can do this is through education, right? So you go to college, you get a degree or whatever, which totally cool, makes sense. But you also can look at other ways of doing it. Courses like this, trainings like this, very specific trainings in your industry, right? Invest in yourself. So this would be like maybe invest in a seminar. Definitely make sure investing in a coach. I mean, a coach, guys, is one of the most powerful ways to get exactly where you want to be the fastest way possible. By having someone else who's been there, done that, freaking hold you accountable, make it happen, lay out the stuff that you need to do to work on, make it happen. This is all like the basis of personal development, right? So, you're working on personal development, and so because of that, get yourself a coach, work on a seminar, whatever you need to get out there and freaking grow yourself so that you're worth more than you're currently worth. And also make sure you have a definite aim, right? So you know exactly where you want to go and exactly how much you want to receive from the marketplace based on your worth, right? You gotta remember, the foundation of pretty much the entire economy is this idea that to accumulate riches, you have to take stock in yourself, and you have to understand the exact aim of your life, right? So know your goals. This is pretty much just the basis of the secret formula, and you can use that to accumulate riches, accumulate freedom, and understand exactly where you want to be in life and prepare yourself for that, so that you can always have the highest level of opportunity, the highest level of order, because of your principles and because you understand your own personal inventory. It's going to allow you to take advantage of the system, right? It's going to allow you to get, knowing your goals is going to allow you to get your goals. Getting your goals is going to allow you to actualize the value and create the monetary equivalent that you desire in the marketplace and achieve, the money that you desire. That's the goal, right? That's how you fulfill that secret formula. And in, today's society, like with capitalism, it's pretty interesting. Hill talks a little bit more about economics, and we'll get to economics in just a minute. But before I move forward, I want to bring your attention to page 145, because this is something that will fundamentally shift just a ton. I've done this exercise 3 times, and it's radically shifted my mindset and given me total clarity for what needs to happen for the next 6 to 8 months for myself, for my business, for my team, for everything around me. And so because of that, let's dive into this. So if you guys have seen, you remember over in the Jumbo membership area where we talk about a day of reflection, right? Day of reflection where, you have no food, just water, right? No talking, no socializing, you're pretty much on your own. And you're trying to basically get rid of all the dopamine in your life, right? And the only thing you can do, the only thing is right. No reading, no electronics. The only thing you can do is write. And on your day reflection, it's important to come into it with some questions and some things to ask yourself and ideas of what you want to plan out and what you want to consider and reflect on. And that's why I expand on it more in the general membership area, alongside, the daily journal, right? It's just getting your life in check with control over all of your actions to have maximum impact in the marketplace. And so because of that, I want to give you guys these 28 self-analysis questions for personal inventory that you can use on your reflections. And they can be one part of, the many ways that you succeed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read them out. I'm going to elaborate on them a little bit, and then just make sure you guys get your copy of Think and Grow Rich. This copy, the one with Arthur Pell that's been updated for the 21st century. Obviously, most of you guys have probably got it. If you haven't, link below or somewhere around here. And it's on page 145. So page 145, Think and Grow Rich, and I'll leave the specific version that we're reading together in the area around here, in the members area, which is super cool. So I'm going to read these out. I'm going to elaborate on them just a little bit, and I want you guys to take this book when you're reflecting, go through these questions on paper, write out all your answers, because it's going to be a very, very powerful exercise. All right, sound good? So number 1. Have I attained the goal that I established as my objective for this year? Should work with a definite yearly objective to be attained as part of your major life objective. Remember, this is coming down to the one thing. You guys remember we talked about this in an earlier module, the one thing. This is how you can really, really easily focus down from your overarching long-term goal that we developed in the secret formula down to that 5-year goal. 2-year goal, 1-year goal, 6-month goal, 3-month goal, 1-week goal, 1-month goal, the 10-hour, 1-day goal, right? That's the goal, is to identify the one thing you want to work on. For me right now, that one thing is this course, right? Because I see this course as part of a general ecosystem of knowledge I'm trying to help, change people's lives with and add value to their lives with. So that would be like an example of my one thing today, but that one thing might not necessarily reflect my overarching long-term goal. It's just a small cog in the system. It's a small cog in the gear. So I might have my goal right now, which is to have this module done. That's a very low-level goal, right? And maybe on top of this module, it's this course, right? Think and Grow Rich course. And then on top of the course, it's to create, a complete personal education, personal success education, with 9 to noon, and then this course, and then also some of the other courses more based on win friends and influence people, and then obviously the influence people, and the the My Little Pony content, right? MLP course, for like friendships development, and just going back to this overarching goal of winning friends and influence people, growing business, growing your influence, growing your personal success and business success, right? So this content is probably part of my overarching goal to have a complete book funnel, right? So, I've got the Jumbo membership here, and I've also got, some of these other things that I could sell. So that, why do I want to do that? Well, I want to do that, first of all, to have a bigger impact and to serve the people that come through my world much, much better. But also, it's a lot of it's, to break even on ads, because the complete, this, top level here, not my overarching long-term goal, but a very big piece of my overarching long-term goal is quality financial education. And financial education breaks down into personal finance, breaks down into personal development. I was just listening to this podcast, but Russell Brunson, amazing stuff. He's the guy behind those books about really creating funnels, and also building an online following, an online business line, and sphere of influence. And I'll leave my reviews for some of his amazing books below, and also his podcast. So I was listening to his podcast, and he was talking about how he runs a really, really big software company. And he was talking about how he constantly invests in his employees through personal education seminars and development conferences on their behalf. And so you got to remember, like, personal development's a huge, huge part of financial success. So that's why it's really important to have these complete courses, like all these success courses, to give quality financial education into the marketplace. Because it's not just finance, right? I mean, I could sit here all day and just, tell you guys how to trade stocks better than 99% of people on the planet. But if you don't have the background, maybe you don't have the cash flow, maybe you don't have the starting work, maybe you don't have the right mindset, maybe you don't have success principles in your life, I would hate for you to just be ridiculously wealthy, but then totally distraught and unhappy in all other aspects of your life, because that sucks, right? That's not the point. So this goal of quality financial education comes down to having this complete ecosystem of educational products, right? And then also what it does is it lets me break even on that. So I want to have quality financial education. Why do I want to have quality financial education? I want to have that. But this is important. You guys want to ask yourself why you want what you want. I want quality financial education because I want to help people build real savings and retirements. Real savings and retirements. That's a huge, huge part of my overarching long-term goal, and a massive sphere of influence. Actually, the second part of my secret formula is to give massive people real savings and retirements. And I think that's super amazing, super powerful, because, like, I don't know, you guys might have heard this, but when I was writing 9 to Noon, I was sitting in this hotel in Colorado. I love skiing. It's so much fun. And I would wake up at 4 every morning to write, and then the lifts would open at about 7 or 8 in Vail. So I had a couple of hours to write, and I was going hard on that manuscript because it was right around deadline time. It was about a week before Christmas break, and I was just putting some finalizing touches, and also getting some nice bulk edits in, especially around like the active trader, some of those tax classifications that are very powerful to save you a lot of money. I was working on that section of the book, and I met this one woman, and this woman, she came in, and she was at this hotel. We were in the lobby, and she came and sat at the computer, like the hotel computer, and I was sitting on a couch on my laptop, just writing, right, and researching just a little bit more information about those account types and the tax the classifications. And she's on this computer looking at like how, I think she was looking at welfare, right? She was looking at how much she could get, how much she was, paid by Social Security, and she was doing some like math to work out some of her finances. And she asked me, we were like the only two idiots that were awake at like 6 in the morning, in the hotel. So she asked me to come over and help her with something on the computer, to help her print something. And she's typing and typing. She has me sit down next to her, and I'm like trying to help her print something, but also she needed to like actually get on the computer. And so I'm helping her work through the process and start to get on and get Microsoft Word up and just get the internet going. And I'm asking her what she's doing. She doesn't need help with anything, and she was trying to figure out the benefit she was getting from Social Security, because this older woman, she came to the hotel that morning to babysit some kids, right? That was what she was doing for work. She was babysitting. So she was there last night, and then the parents came home, and she was homeless. She had nowhere to go, which was terrible. So she gets on the computer because she's trying to check her welfare and her Social Security, because she's like 75 years old, and she used to be a real estate agent. Apparently, I was talking to her, and that was what her background was in, and she was a great real estate agent apparently for 20 plus years. But what happened was she got in some deep trouble, or some weird freaking stuff happened with her family, and her brother ended up marrying someone that was not a great fit. And they had some kids, and so it was a daughter and a son, and she actually had to support her brother because her brother he didn't work at a job, or he like sued her. It was so weird. But apparently his brother made a lot less than she did, and his wife didn't make, I don't think, anything. And so when she was working as a real estate agent, she was actually supporting basically her brother, her brother's wife, brother's 2 kids, and he was supporting like their whole family. So she didn't have the wherewithal to invest. So remember, she was selling real estate. She was not investing in real estate. And I asked her, do you have any assets? And she didn't. It was crazy. She had no assets, nothing. I mean, like, she had a bank account with a couple $100 in it. No stocks. I mean, no bonds, no real estate, no gold, no treasuries. I mean, no index funds, nothing, no assets. There was not a single thing she owned that paid her money. Everything was an expense. Her family was an expense. She didn't have a home because her home was a liability, and she lost it because she couldn't afford it. And then she stopped working real estate, and now she was just living on Social Security. And she was on the computer that day creating a comparative analysis, and I'll never forget this. She printed it out for me. I mean, it changed the way I look at helping people. She printed out, we spent 2 or 3 hours that morning, good ski hours, mind you, looking up like how much Social Security paid versus how much welfare paid. And she was on Social Security, and she was like, oh, the government needs to pay me more money from welfare, and this is why I'm not getting paid enough. And she was looking up like on news sites how the policies were changing. And on news sites, obviously they polarize the news and they make it look super, super crazy. So they had a bunch of like really extreme quotes and links and just documents talking about this tax change. And as she was looking at all this stuff, what happened was really, really, really interesting. She was on a Word document. She was like doing her left-right analysis. And after she looked at the analysis, she was like printing it out. She was like handwriting notes on it. It was like a solid 2-page analysis about how she should be getting paid more from the government, just because. you know? And she had been working for years, but she had nothing to show for that work. She had no assets. I mean, she was trapped in a system. She didn't have freedom. I hate to see a 75-year-old working as a freaking nanny or a babysitter. Because for the 20 plus years she was in real estate, she just never had the financial education to just buy assets. Never bought a single asset. I asked her if she had a portfolio, and she said, no, what's that? Like, that blew my mind. That changed my whole perspective. It made me realize that there are so many people that are just completely off course to build real savings and retirement because they don't even consider or apply foundational principles of asset accumulation and allocation in effective manners. And so that was something that really reinforced and pushed me to work towards creating real savings and retirements for massive people. And a significant factor, we'll go over to the computer, behind that is education. Education right now, there's just this huge educational barrier to entry into finance. It took me freaking months and months and months of researching when I was working my first minimum wage job just to buy my first stock. It was crazy. And so that's why I'm creating, all these other courses to, just help other people succeed much more. And also, remember, right, like, it is not cheap. I spend a lot of, I will be, once this stuff's done, spend a lot of money to get like advertisement traffic to my webpage, right, where it's like, hey, 9 to noon, you should make a bunch of cash, right, build real savings and retirements, check out the secret workday of uber wealthy Americans. And so if I have these other courses that I can add in addition to the book, it allows me to increase the average order value because I'm delivering more value, right? You deliver more value, you create more money. So by delivering more value, I can create more money. If I create more money, I can reinvest, or at least break even, because this, like I said, this is very expensive. So my ideal, right, is to break even or make a slight profit on client acquisition, and then I can reinvest into getting more and more people into my world, because I know this stuff will change people's lives, and paid advertisement is one of the easiest ways to quickly scale up and get in front of people. And I'll work on organic, right? I do YouTube and podcasts. Excuse me. And you guys have probably seen a ton of, some of the behind the scenes access I have on Facebook and Instagram, stuff like that. And those are awesome. They just take a long time. And I move fast. And money moves fast. Money loves to go places that move fast. So that's sort of the principle behind my current yearly goal, and how that integrates into my overarching vision for like what I want to do, right? So yeah, definitely recommend you check out The One Thing, because that book's freaking awesome. So let's go to number 2. Have I delivered service of the best possible quality of which I was capable, or could I have improved any part of the service? So this is just delivering, maximum quality. And obviously you're going to go, much deeper into these, just like I've gone much deeper into these during your reflection time, or if you're just sitting there writing this stuff out, or if you have the book. I highly recommend, though, that you clump together a lot of the stuff that you need to reflect on, this being one of them, right? And then once you get a solid group of things together, then you go into a reflection day. You have total focus for the entire day to go through your self-analysis and give yourself time to understand exactly what needs to change in your life in the next 6 to 8 months to have that massive success that you want. So for this instance, it would obviously be improving the quality of what you're providing to the marketplace, be it labor, product, service, anything you have. You want to make sure that you focus on the best quality. So number 3, have I delivered service with the greatest possible quantity, right? Have you served the most people that you can, of which I was capable? So obviously increase quality, increase quantity. Think of 3, 4, 10, 30 ways you could do that. If you list out 30 ways to have better quality, 30 ways to have better quantity, guaranteed one of those could change your life. It's just that idea of getting past the mental barrier of starting, creating a list of ideas, and then if you just keep blurping out ideas, one of them's gonna be freaking golden, and it's an idea that most people wouldn't have thought of originally because they were like, oh, that's too insane, that's too crazy to work, I'm not gonna write that down. So just like commit yourself, you know, to writing down like 30 things you can do to improve this aspect of your life, of your business, of your success. Because if you do that, you're gonna have massive, massive action. So just take massive action and list out 30 things you can do now to have an impact. All right, make sense? Cool. Number 4, has the spirit of my conduct been harmonious and cooperative at all times, right? Great spirit, enthusiasm, confidence, just general happiness. Just make sure you're freaking smiling. And a great way to help with this would probably be like meditation, like I talk about throughout the Jomo membership area. And on top of meditation, just like being happy every day. And a way you can do that, like I talked about earlier, is pumping yourself up with music. That works really, really well for me. And I'd highly recommend it if you need somewhere to start. Have I permitted the habit of procrastination to decrease my efficiency? And if so, to what extent? Obviously, guys, don't want to procrastinate. So identify if you are procrastinating, where you're procrastinating, and then cut it, get rid of it, stop procrastinating. Makes sense? Basic stuff. Number 6. Have I improved my personality? If so, what ways, right? Personality improvement. This is huge, guys. This is the entire point of what I was just talking about with My Little Pony and also Dale Carnegie, all that amazing educational content is personality development, personal development, personality, right? If you can develop a better personality, you can connect better with individuals, you can create better relationships, you're gonna have massive, massive, massive levels of increased success in your life. It's just straight facts. That's how it works, my man. All right, sound good? Let's go over number 7. Have I been persistent in following my plans to completion, right? Make yourself be consistent. Make yourself consistent. All right? You know, it's not like you can just put out, for example, a YouTube video every month, at least for most people, and be successful, right? Like it's about putting stuff out there consistently. So publishing, you know, that's just one example in the publishing industry, but apply it to everything you do, right? If anything's worth doing, it's worth doing consistently. Working out, eating right, having a quality relationship. Make sure you're doing that stuff consistently, all right? If you do 10 push-ups once a month, you know, you're gonna be struggling a little bit to get some, you know, bulk biceps, right, or chest muscles, right? Make sense? Got to get those pecs, so you just got to be consistent. Have I reached decisions promptly and definitely on all occasions, right? Quick decisions, quick decisions. Dude, this is so important, so important. Making trades this morning, some of these stocks, they're moving up 10, 20, 30, 40% in a matter of 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Some of them in 2 minutes, they went up 10%. You gotta be quick. Gotta be decisive. A lot of times that comes down to experience, but make sure no matter where you're at, that you're able to do things, you're able to do it happen. And if you aren't reaching quick decisions, figure out why. What's holding you back? Is it a fear of loss? Is it a fear of failure? Is it a fear that you'll look silly? Because I'll tell you what, guys, you jump out onto that dance floor, there are 100 people around you, and you are so scared that if you go on this dance floor, you're going to dance like a silly guy, you're going to look ridiculous. I promise you guys, nobody freaking cares. You just have to be out there, just freaking decide that you want to do it, and then do it. You might look silly, you might think you look silly, nobody's going to care. It's the same way in the marketplace. People overlook failures and focus on success. Really great example, Jeff Bezos, right? He had tons and tons and tons of failures while he was growing Amazon, especially in the early stages. Do you think anybody freaking cares now? No, no one cares, right? You jump on the dance floor, you start doing your thing, and you understand that you'll make mistakes, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, if you keep dancing for 6 months and you become one of the best salsa dancers on the floor, people are going to think you're amazing. They're going to focus on your success. Same thing with Jeff Bezos, right? He had tons and tons of failures along the way, but what do most people focus on? They focus on his success. They focus on Amazon, right? So just make quick decisions, follow through on your decisions, and you're going to have tremendous success with whatever you do. Just a matter of consistent action over and over again until you win. Have I permitted any one or more of the 6 basic fears, which we talk about in chapter 15, which is pretty far away, to decrease my efficiency? So like, is fear hurting efficiency? And if it is, why? And then if it's a serious issue, if the reasoning is really bad, ask yourself why that reason is so bad. And then go another level down. Why? Why on the why? And then why on the why on the why? Figure out what you're seriously scared about. What is really holding you back? What's that internal motive? That deep fear. Figure out the deep fear. For a lot of people, me included, deep fear might be a fear of insignificance. Deep fear might be a fear that no one will care. That's a very valid fear. That fear can manifest itself in maybe you cut trades or you don't cut trades. You know, if you have massive winners in the market and you just let them keep going because you think you're going to look awesome, and then they just go back down to where they started and you erase all your gains. I've seen that happen so many times where people are more worried about, you know, posting up on social media like, hey, look at this awesome stock I just bought. It's amazing. I had this problem myself. I was in the cryptocurrency market before the crash, and I had this stock I bought, and this crypto I bought. This cryptocurrency went up 1,280% in 6 hours. I had about I think it was about $400 in it. Definitely not a huge position, but it freaking goes up 1,280%. And what did I do? I'll tell you what I did. Pulled out my phone, took a picture of it, and said, crypto! Crypto! Wow, this is so cool! It was stupid. It was ridiculous. It was the dumbest thing I could have done. And I've since learned that when emotions are at their peak state, and enthusiasm is at its peak state, and public perception is at its peak state, that's usually where the price is at its peak state. Next freaking day, the thing's down 66%. 2 months later, 94%. What did I do? I put it out there on social media, thought I was the coolest guy in the world, and didn't focus on taking profits. Didn't focus on actually making that winning trade. Winning trade was right in my hands, but I was not efficient. I was scared that people weren't gonna understand what I was doing, because like I talked about earlier, financial education is really important to me. And so when I have really massive successes like that, they're great examples. They're very good case studies, and I love to share them with people in my environment to inspire them to get into financial markets. So for me to sell, I was afraid that people would think that I didn't believe, you know, in like the long-term validity of crypto, which is stupid, right? You're letting emotions rule you. You're letting other people's opinions rule you. Don't let that happen. Don't be afraid of what people think. It doesn't freaking matter, right? You gotta stick with what matters. You gotta stick on you, and make yourself, you know, the person that matters. If you see stuff like that and you have a serious mess up, like, dude, serious mess up, position goes up 1,300%, I didn't sell it, like, that's a serious mess up. I gotta understand at a very root level, you know, what was the problem. Because on the surface, it's like, oh, the problem was that I didn't think fast enough and I should have sold. But if I dig deeper, it's much more complicated. It's all in the subconscious, and it's about your internal drive. So understand that and break down the fears that you have. And then once you figure out your fears, understand that 99.9% of them are just totally stupid. And I hate saying that, but it was tough for me, you know, and I had to overcome some of the things I thought. but just think about your stuff logically, take out the emotions, and understand, look, seriously, guys, like seriously, whatever you're doing, does it really, really matter? And then focus on what matters. I did a podcast episode on this a while back. I guess I'll link the podcast episode below about focusing on what matters, and putting all your energies and efforts in the tasks that are going to yield the highest rewards. It's a very powerful concept that's going to allow you to have tremendously high levels of success. Stock market secrets podcast. I'll link that below, and you guys check it out. It's a really good episode. I'm a huge fan of it. If I could put it stock. All right, cool, sweet. So number 10. Have I ever been either overcautious or undercautious? Right? Cautious, overcautious, too much. Cautious, extremes. We covered this one pretty hard earlier. Just remember to have solid risk tolerance and understand that there's risk in some situations. You need to take risks. You don't want to be overcautious. You don't want to be undercautious. You want to have reasonable investments. My grandpa, he has a fund that's like just junk bonds. He's had this fund for about 30 years, I think, and it's a BlackRock fund, and BlackRock junk bonds. This fund pays today, with treasury interest rates on the 10-year note about 2%, 3%. This fund pays him about 5.5% to 6% annually, consistently with dividends. And this is a fairly interesting fund because it used to pay much more, but now it's right about that 5.5%, 6% range, and it's pretty stable, right? It just goes sideways, which is what you want to see with bond funds. And I talk about this so much more in chapter 21. I'm pretty sure bonds and interest rates, but it just keeps going sideways, pays out this solid dividend, and crushes, the prime rate at the time, right now, right? And it used to pay a lot more, paid like 9, 10, 12% when interest rates were higher when he was younger. So just make sure you understand that like junk bonds are kind of sketch. So this is a small part of his portfolio, and he's not ridiculously overcautious to the extent that he won't make an investment like this, because this investment has been paying him, $500, I think, a quarter. It's about a 40 grand position, so I might have to check the math on that. But it's just been consistently paying for about 20 years, right? So some of those are going to do amazing, some of them are going to do poorly. So you just have to be cautious, not too cautious, and not cautious enough, right? Make sense? Sound good? All right, cool. So with that said, let's move on to number 11. Really cool stuff there, and that's why I elaborate more on it in the book, because you do have to kind of be careful with that stuff, but you can make pretty solid money. Bonds are cool, just depends on the kind and the timing. Has my relationship with my colleagues at work been pleasant or unpleasant? If it has been unpleasant, has the fault been partially or wholly mine, right? Quality relationships, guys, this is so important. You got to make sure you have quality relationships, and that's what we're looking at right here, is developing quality workplace relationships. Work should feel like family, and that's one of the biggest cons. Family, that's one of the biggest concepts talked about in Principles by Ray Dalio, is this idea that you can have a whole team come together and be part of something that's so great and so huge that all of a sudden everyone feels like a family. Everyone has a quality relationship, and that fosters a tremendously greater sense of work ethic, higher level of output, much better collaboration, and it all comes from this ability to have strong work principles that develop the future, develop the team, develop the relationships. And just like we were talking about earlier with the Dale Carnegie content, win friends and influence people, that is the way to have a better working relationship. You got to make sure if there is any issue in your relationships, in any aspect of your life, you tackle them when you're going out on this point. List out the names, list out the people, list out what's wrong, and then figure out what you can do today, or if you're on a reflection day, tomorrow, to instantly increase the quality of that relationship. Bam, right? Add value, do something special, whatever you can do. You know, pick up the phone and say happy birthday, even if it's not their birthday. It'll make them feel special, make them feel happy. Guaranteed. That'll reinvigorate and spark up a relationship. If you're just extremely excited, call up, say, hey, happy birthday! It's a great way. Call them out of the blue and get back in their world so that you can continue to develop that relationship. Super important stuff. So, with that said, let's go on to number 12. Have I dissipated any of my energy through lack of concentration of effort, right? Lack of concentration. This is something that can happen if maybe you don't have a daily journal, right? Concentration. If you don't have your daily journal with your daily goals, then you're going to have a tough time working out, you know, the things to do on a day-by-day basis to maintain that peak productivity, that peak state of output in the marketplace. So it's super important that you have concentration day in and day out. And the best way to do that is by planning, right? Planning the day the night before. And if you can do that, you are going to crush it. Sound good? Makes sense? It's super important stuff. And once you have that down, you're going to be freaking killing it. So, with that said, let's move on from increasing your output, increasing your productivity. You guys have seen the daily journal in plenty of places around here. And I know that a vast majority of you are going to get your hands on it and have tremendous results from it, which is insanely awesome. Have I been open-minded and tolerant in connection with all subjects? Right? Guys, this is huge, right? You don't want to be that jerk in the office. You got to be open-minded and tolerant. This is one of the biggest things that we talk about in some of the earlier modules of the My Little Pony series, right? And it's something that's developed throughout most of it, and it's just one of those basic underlying concepts that, like, you got to be a nice guy, you got to be open-minded. You know, not forever, but at least initially, and especially to workplace ideas, like we talked about earlier with that ad that Tide was running. If you can stay open to other people's opinions and their insights and their ideas, you're gonna have much, much better levels of success in your life. I mean, to think that, like, I would never have Googled what are stocks and then transform my entire life over the next 2, 3, 4 years, if I didn't listen to my dad one day when he said, hey, Jack, you should check out the stock market. If I wasn't open to that idea, if I wasn't open-minded to say, maybe I should check out the stock market, and then go to Google and typed in on that one day, you know, what are stocks? Like, my whole life would not be where I am today. Would not a chance, right? And so you gotta be open-minded. And even if a new idea sounds stupid, just freaking think about it. Give it a chance. Same thing applies with tickers, right? Tickers, you guys know, please, I hope you've read enough of 9 to Noon. Tickers represent companies, right? So, you know, ABC represents ABC. ABC represents Ameribergen company. They're cool. They're a manufacturing company, I'm pretty sure. You can Google check me on that. But you guys know that, you know, the important parts with it. And so, like, if I was going across, like, newsletters or websites, and I heard about a company, or maybe I heard about a company on TV, or maybe I heard about a company somewhere, like, I'll just start making lists every day, and I'll have a list at the end of the day of, like, 10 stocks, right? 10 tickers, and I'll just list them all out. So 10 stocks, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I would just go through these one at a time the next morning, or maybe the next time after I finish most of my trading, about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and just give them a quick glance over, a quick insight, and just say, hey, you know, does this look like a good company for long-term investing, for swing trading, for maybe it's day trading, or maybe it's trading 9 to noon. and I'll just look at them real quick and go, yes, this one's good, this one's bad, 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 yes, this one's good, this one's bad, this one's bad, this one's bad. And just be open-minded to the idea that like you can have really, really great investments that come from these. 2 out of 10, right? That 20%, maybe it's 10% for you, maybe it's 5% for you, maybe it's 1% for you. But if you just keep constantly filling your pipeline of stocks, right, increasing your input, you're going to increase your output. And the way that you increase your input is by increasing your open-mindedness and tolerance, and using that as a tool to drastically increase the the number of potential positions that come across your desk, and subsequently the number of deals that come across your desk, because you're not going to close 100% of the stocks that you're not going to buy 100% of the stocks that you consider, right? It's a very small fraction. And so that's why really it's just a numbers game of getting enough things analyzed, or getting the right feed of information that's already been analyzed. Like some of the stuff I do over in the general membership area of sharing some of my personal positions, that would be an example of finding someone that is already doing it and using pre-qualified stocks, versus having a list of like 1,000 companies and then going through all of them, which is something that I still do fairly often. I got hundreds and hundreds of tickers that I record in Yahoo Finance, and just put them on watch list. I'm always checking, always going, because I know if I can find that one position, that one setup. I've been waiting on this one stock. I'm very recently entered a position on this morning. It was ABB Limited. I bought them at about $17.95, about $18. Maybe I'll look crazy whenever you're watching this video. But I've been waiting a really, really long time to get into this company. And they've been going, this huge run up and then this huge crash, and then they've been going sideways for so long. I found them out about ABB about a year ago when I was starting to write the book. And, I saw this and I saw this, and I was like, dude, I really want to buy on this line right here. And so just recently, they actually came down, and they came down to the 200 moving average, which was just starting. This was the first 200 period. For I think it was the weekly look back period, and they just got right here, which is the perfect price level. It was right here, and so now I bought, and we're looking to see them come back up to this high point here. Breakout would be awesome. If they don't break out, I'll actually pull it up for you now that I've gotten out of here. So here's an example, right? You look at it, you've got this line right here that's been a very, very strong historic support. And then also this is the new 200 monthly moving average that just started to come up. So pretty freaking solid stuff. You're looking at a crossover here on the MACD. And if you transition over into the weekly chart, you're actually going to see a huge, huge bottom here on the Bollinger Percent B, which is awesome. You had it happen here when it bottomed. You see this hammer candle, and it also happened here when it bottomed. So we're looking for a bounce off this level right here up to, right around this point right here, maybe 27.50, which would be awesome. And yeah, so you got a pretty nice upside and a very limited downside. Like it's never really gone below what, like 750. That's $10. No, that's $10. So it's never really gone below $10. I'd say conservative stop loss. Your upside here is about $10. So I would probably have a stop loss at about $15, right? Give me about a 3-to-1 risk reward ratio. More ideally, it would be at about $16, and that would give you a 5-to-1 risk reward ratio. And I'll tell you guys what, I will take a 5-to-1 risk reward ratio anyway, any day, especially if it's got low stochastics and it's just prime for breakout. At this level right here, it's a very low risk trade, swing trade with about a 6 to 12 month time horizon. Considering these are monthly candles, you might hold this for like 2 or 3 years tops, and you're going to get consistent returns. They pay a solid 4.5% dividend, which is awesome. It's just a great, place to be. And also, I think the weekly has a pretty high red volume candle compared to this chart, which is the monthly. So that's just one example of, I found out about this position when the price was like right here, and I saw it bounce off here, go down, and then enter this right here. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, almost an entire year, 10 months. That's 10 months that I've been waiting for this position to line up, because I knew based on this trend line right here that it was going to come down to this trend line. And lo and behold, that's exactly where it came down to. That's exactly where it consolidated. That's exactly where, hopefully, we're going to see it bounce. And I don't know, my money's in the trade, money's where my mouth is. So let's see it go. I'm excited about it. It's going to be awesome stuff. So with that said, let's go back over to our training module and finish up our list. And then once we finish up our list, we'll actually be able to go all the way down to our final piece of economic principles. Make sense? Sound good? Sounds amazing. I'm so excited for it. So let's get right back into it. We're going to go to number 14. Just clear out this a little bit. All right, honestly, that looks really good. All right, cool. 14. You want to make sure you know in what way have I improved my ability to provide service, right? In what way have you grown yourself? Grown your abilities. So for you, that might be taking this course. It might be reading 9 to noon. You know, that's going to allow you to make a lot of money. That book is information that can fundamentally shift your entire investing and financial life, which is freaking awesome, right? I mean, you guys have the tools. The tools are in your hands. It is amazing what you can do with the quality education that's out there. Investments in yourself, investments in your education, investments in your personal advancement, experience based on those investments, right? Like you go out there and you actually apply what I teach. That's experience. That creates wisdom. You've grown your abilities. You've created more value in the marketplace for what you're doing, which is awesome, right? Super, super important stuff. So with that said, we'll go over to 15. Have I been intemperate in any of my habits, right? Intemperance. You don't want to be temperate. You want to be a good guy. You don't want to be an ass. You know, it makes sense. Pretty basic fundamental stuff here. If you have been intemperate, figure out what's wrong, figure out what's messed up, take that, apply it, and grow from it, right? Not a huge deal. You just got to know where you're at and what you're doing. Super cool stuff. So with that said, let's go to 16. Have I expressed either openly or secretly any form of egotism, right? You want to make sure you're focusing on your team, you're focusing on others, you're focusing on group growth. Egotism will shut that off. Egotism can mess you up. So make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure, you know, that you're focusing on other people, right? Like with this course, right? Like, it's not really focused on me, and I'll tell stories, right? But the stories are to help you, right? They'll help out the person that's growing behind this camera, you, to grow as a human being, personally develop yourself. It's all about focus on other people, focus on the group, focus on team, focus on adding value to create, you know, a timeless course. Like this course will last decades and decades, right? Because it has applicable marketplace information. This book's 100 years old, almost 100 years old. And so these are like insane principles that are going to last you a lifetime. It's insane, so powerful. And that's why, you know, you get lifetime access to it, right? Number 17. Has my conduct toward my colleagues been such that I has induced them to respect me? You know, team respect, right? This all comes down to your social skills and your ability to interact with other people. So if you get people to connect with you and respect you, all of a sudden, you're going to have better output, you're going to have better group work, better collaboration. That's going to increase the value you bring to the marketplace. And like we talked about before, more value equals more money. That's the secret. That's the power. All starts with increasing your value. If you can increase your value, you can increase your paycheck. Bam. Best way to increase your value, without a doubt, is quality team. Quickest way possible. Because you guys, you know, we're going to talk about more in the mastermind chapter, but just having a group of people working towards a definite goal with a definite gate, especially if you have the secret formula mastered for everybody as a company, if you have a secret formula, if you have a game plan for your company, if you have a piece of paper that says exactly the purpose and the goals and the time frame and the impact you want to have and the reasoning behind you want to have it, like that's what I've done with Monerads, right? Monerads has a total separate secret formula. Using the same secret formula I use for myself, I apply that to the company. I write that on paper. It was included in, a portion of it was included in our articles of organization, right? The stuff we file with the state to make a company. And so you want to know from the get-go exactly where you want to go and then be able to freaking get there by fulfilling and following these same principles as a group. That's the secret. Professional success, personal success It all comes down to your individual ability to think and grow rich. Make sense? Sound good? Let's go to number 18. Have my opinions and decisions been based upon guesswork or accuracy and analysis of thought, right? So thoughtful decision. You don't want to be making guesses, right? Especially in financial markets, but in any aspect of your life, you want to have thoughtful decisions based on fact. This is why so many people get screwed in the market. You know, they sell in the middle of a crash when everybody's losing money and the market's at its minimum, so low. Like in '08, right? People got screwed because they sold. They were freaking out. And it sucks, dude. Your portfolio goes in half in a year. Like, that's ridiculous. That's insane. People lost so much money. And what did? They made decisions based on emotion. They sold here, missed out on the massive upside for the next 2 years. And by the next 2 years, I mean, you guys have seen the S&P 500. You know that it just goes up and up and up and up after that crash. And obviously, it doesn't go up forever, right? It's got economic cycles. But this massive growth period is something that's just completely ignored if you don't make thoughtful decisions based on facts. Same thing here, right? People were emotionally invested in their house. People thought their homes were assets, when in reality, as you guys have learned over in the Joe membership area, most homes are liabilities since they take money out of your pocket. People weren't understanding that, right? And so you have people that were predicting the crash. They predicted the crash based on facts. And they said, look, these are the facts. The market's going down because of XYZ in the housing market. It's a serious problem. Like we talked about, the movie The Big Short, right? And I think I talked about this on the Stock Market Secrets podcast. It was one of really, really great episode. And I talked about The Big Short. The Big Short, awesome financial movie. In The Big Short, it's the whole story of how these guys shorted the housing market and made so much money because they understood at a fundamental level that the financial assets being created in the space were ridiculously stupid and were terrible debt instruments that were bound to crash and bound to explode on themselves. And they predicted the entire housing market crash because they were in that market. They based their decisions based on facts. They did not base them on emotion. They didn't say, oh, I think the housing market looks expensive and I don't feel like it is a safe place for people to invest and therefore I think it will go down. That's not what they did. No freaking way that's what they did. They went to the biggest banks in the world, the biggest insurers of collateralized debt obligations on this planet. And they looked at subprime borrowers on an individual case-by-case basis to go and get all the data, all the facts, everything they could need to make an intelligent decision. And then what did they do? They bet their life savings as a group, like 5 people. Every single person put up their life savings to short the housing market. Everything was on the line. Because they had facts, because they had thoughtful decisions, they had massive success. And that's what The Big Short's about, right? Really good movie. I freaking love that movie. It's awesome. Make sure making decisions based on facts. All right, sweet. Sounds great. Let's go to number 19. Have I followed the habit of budgeting my time, my expenses, and my income? And have I been conservative in those budgets? Right? You want budgets for your life. Makes sense. This is some pretty basic stuff, You just got to control your living expenses, right? You got to control your time usage. Time's your most valuable asset. You got to make sure you know where it's going. For me, what I did was I made a huge spreadsheet, and I'm pretty sure I shared this with you over in the Jumbo membership area, and if not, I'll link this below because this is something everyone should have. And I would look at where I was spending my time. So I would have, school, and then work, then trading, then sports, then driving, sleeping, socializing, eating, homework, personal development, reading, like books that I choose, I would everything, meditation, everything would have a place on this list. If I was doing something consistently from day to day, it was on this list. And obviously I'll share that with you. I'll give you guys this spreadsheet. And every single day, this is Sunday, this is Monday, this is Tuesday. Same thing down here, right? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's all one big spreadsheet. I would catalog how many hours did I spend at school, how many hours did I spend working, how many hours did I spend trading, how many hours did I spend doing sports or working out, right? How many hours did I spend sleeping? And if I'm lucky, I just put in about 25 hours of work, which is a pretty freaking great day. And then, driving back and forth to places. And then listening to, podcasts, right? However you want to develop yourself. Eating. How much time are you spending eating, right? You got to remember. You got to seriously consider, if you're trying to get the most out of your day, where'd your time go? Apparently, I have more time to do things than there are hours in the day. But all that stems from is your ability to prioritize your time and get what you need done. And that's where you're going to have the biggest impact. You want budgets for everything. So this is a budget for time. Maybe you need one for money, all right? What are you spending money on? Look at your credit card statements at the end of the month and figure out, where the heck am I wasting dollars, right? Okay, cool. My bill says that I went to Starbucks 15 times this month. Maybe if I want to save money for retirement, I shouldn't go to Starbucks every other day and spend $6 on a latte. All right? Maybe that's a decent idea. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just stupid stuff you're wasting money on, and you don't realize it until you look at your card. And please, don't walk around with a wallet full of freaking cash, because I guarantee for most people you're gonna spend it. I'll tell you what. Today, I went to the doctor and got a haircut and the orthodontist, and I had $25 in my wallet, and I tipped the haircut lady $5, and then I didn't have to tip the ear people because they just ripped this mass. Oh my god! But everything was taken care of there. And then I get to the orthodontist, not the orthodontist, the dentist, and they have this special thing where they'll screen your mouth for cancer. And I'm like, dude, I don't want cancer, and it's $20. So I pay him my $20. I had $20 in my wallet, and I didn't want cancer. Good news, guys. I didn't have oral cancer. I'm very excited about that. But advanced screening is important, right? You want to make sure you're healthy. So look, guys, this will happen anywhere you look. If you have money in your wallet, you will find a way to spend it. There's just no doubt in that. Look at uber successful people like rappers, and I know there's this one amazing example in Tony Robbins' book, Money Master the Game. He was looking at Floyd Mayweather, right? Mayweather carried hundreds of thousands of dollars with him just in case he had a $100,000 emergency. Now, I'll give you guys a spoiler alert, and Tony talks about this so much more in his amazing book, Money Master the Game. And I'll leave that book review video below because it's just awesome. But basically, you guys know, Floyd was straight broke. He made hundreds of millions, $500 million. I'm pretty sure it was the number, and it's in the book. He just spent all of it, freaking bankrupt in years. He would fight, earn money, spend money, fight, earn money, spend money, over and over and over. He carried $100,000. What do you think happened to this $100,000 in cash? I'll tell you exactly what happened. He spent it on crap he didn't need. Out the door, spent. All right? If you're carrying cash around, everyone I worked with at Subway had this problem. If they had cash, they would spend it. Get rid of the cash in your wallet. I don't care if you think there's going to be an emergency, if the world's going to fall, the day's going to end. Maybe carry $20 for gas, and only for gas. But try to stick with to credit or debit cards. Spend responsibly, and then obviously build up your credit so you can invest in stuff real estate, get loans if you need to invest in assets. That's a little bit more complex. We'll talk more about that later. But this is a really great way, with your credit card statement, as long as you're using it responsibly and freaking pay it. Oh my God, you can't leave a tab open. You guys know this. Consumer debt will kill you. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid. You're paying 27%. I don't know. That's what I'm paying on some of these cards. So just make sure that you freaking pay your credit cards, right? You guys know this is basic stuff. But use them as tools for accounting, right? So at the end of the month, you know exactly where your money's going, and you're not wasting it on crap, right? And you understand that if you're going to spend money on stuff that maybe you don't need, like, it's okay because you have the income for it. And also, you're putting away, that 40% into your assets from your income. And that's one of the bigger concepts that we talk about, obviously, in the general membership area, just mastering your basic personal finances on how to not blow all your money. But you got to have budgets, right? Budgets for everything you do, to make sure that you know what the heck's going on. And then try to increase your income. Try to increase the amount of free time you have, right? Be conservative, for sure, and don't be stupid, all right? Because carry around 100 grand, you're going to find something to spend it on. This man, he would walk into car dealerships and compete with people to see how many cars he could buy. He competed with Lil Wayne. They were competing on who could buy more Bugattis. Like, it was ridiculous. Totally cool stuff. Like, no hate on it, right? Like, that's awesome, if you're in the position to do that. But obviously, at least for, Lil Wayne, I think it's cool. He's got, like, a lot of businesses. But for Mayweather, right, he went broke, And so he obviously wasn't in the position to do that. And it freaking sucks. You don't want to be like that. Man made hundreds of millions of dollars. There's nothing to show for it. It sucks. Terrible. I mean, obviously he's got a reputation, but it's gone, right? And that's really a big, just like that lady you were talking about earlier, that lady who never bought assets, that lady who is living on Social Security. She has nothing. She's terrible. She has a suitcase. She walks around with her suitcase. That's all she has. That's ridiculous. It's awful. Same thing happened to this multi $100 million man. Don't let that be you. Get yourself some assets. All right? Number 20. Almost there. You guys are doing a good job. How much time have I devoted to unprofitable effort which I might have used to better advantage? So basically, like, wasted time. Don't want to waste time. Obviously, this is why we're going to set up your time chart so that you know exactly where you're spending your time. And at the end of the day, you want to add up all of your productive hours. And if you don't have 24 productive hours, figure out why you don't have 24 productive hours. Is it because you spent 20, 30, 40 minutes taking a bath? Is it because you spent 40 minutes sitting on your phone looking at social media? Figure out why you don't have productive hours in your day, and then understand where you're wasting time. That's something that's significantly easier to do once you start to budget your most valuable asset, which is, of course, your time. Woohoo! Super important. Cool. 21. How may I rebudget my time and change my habits so I will be more efficient during the coming year, right? So this is the same thing. You want to increase your time allocation efficiency. This is going to allow you to create more in the marketplace. It's going to allow you to serve more in the marketplace. It's going to allow you to innovate more in the marketplace, have a better spirit in the marketplace, focus more on your development. Anything you want to do. Get through more courses like this. Get through more of this content. If you can develop a better use of your time, I would say this course, if I had this course freaking 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, if I had this course a decade ago, my God, man, my life would be so different. I really wish, when I grew up, I hated reading. And I really wish I caught on to the power, because this single book is really what sparked my path. I was reading basically 0 books ever. And then I read this one book, Think and Grow Rich, and I created that overarching long-term goal with the secret formula. And you guys have seen, like, my reading output's just exponentially skyrocketed. I hate reading. My overarching long-term goals are so huge, and they drag me towards them so much that they pull me to read. Because reading is like I've talked about so much, just a phenomenal way to absorb someone's entire life and take all that knowledge and apply it to anything you want. Get closer and closer and closer and closer to your overarching long-term goal. And that's why I wrote 9 to Noon. Books are powerful, man. Books are crazy cool. My book's blue, but you know what? It's okay, because I wrote this in green, and I'm gonna leave it like that. All right, so 22. Have I been guilty of any conduct that was not approved by my conscience? Did you do anything stupid? Or inappropriate? If you did, why? And then remember, just like we talked about earlier, find the root cause of that why. So go down, ask yourself why. 7 more times. 7 whys to get to the real deep reason. Real reason. Then you're going to be able to take control of your life and actually have change with what you're doing, because you know at a fundamental level why you're really taking action in the ways you're taking action. And if those actions are leading to negative, actions and results, then you want to reflect on that and make sure that you stop it from happening again. I mean, it's pretty basic stuff. If you get in trouble, maybe don't do the thing that got you in trouble. And a really great way to stop that from happening in the future is to understand the root cause that actually brought you to that action to create that result that was unintended. And then you can have better consequences in the future. All right, cool. So 23. In what ways have I proved more service and better service than I was paid for? How have you over-delivered? Like we talked about earlier, you want to overpromise and over-deliver. So, as an example, I personally think that this training is insanely awesome. And I personally believe that 90 Noon can change your life. It's worth so much more than I charge for it. Same thing with this training. I think the value is so much more than I charge for it. If you agree with this, there's got to be somewhere to comment around this page. Like, let me know if you agree. Let me know if you think this is awesome. It really pumps me up to see you guys excited, especially if you share your results. Like, that makes me so happy. It's just awesome, because then more people get inspired. People see success and they become success. It's about modeling success. And when you guys do that as students, it's so powerful. It's amazing. So I think the level of value that I provide is huge, and you can, let me know if you agree, versus the price I pay. So I try to over-deliver a ridiculous amount with every single thing that I personally create or promote on behalf of others, like the books, obviously, and then some other courses and some of the other resources I share with you. I think they're amazing. I think they're worth tremendously more than you pay for them. What I pay for them, for everything, right? Like I buy my own books, I buy my own courses. With digital products, it's a little different. I can't really buy my own course, but I promise you guys, I am putting in a ridiculous amount of time, energy, and effort in everything I do here for you. And I don't have the luxury of just paying, a small nominal fee to get access to this stuff. I am putting in the time, putting in the effort, putting in the energy, because I know it'll have an impact. I know it'll change someone's life. If you change just one person's life, it'll be worth it. I'll be worth it, because an overarching long-term goal, secret formula goal, that can fundamentally shift how the entire marketplace moves. I think I showed you guys this a little bit earlier, but with Twitter, right? The guy who had the idea for Twitter started out as an idea. He took that idea and he started to work towards it. He started to work this plan. He had this plan, he had this goal of action. He had the secret formula worked out, and Twitter was his goal. He spent 10 years making Twitter. Now Twitter's freaking huge 10 years later. So that's the thing, right, is with these secret formula and these overarching long-term goals, these long-term goals can be life-changing. Twitter's changed this planet. I have no question in my mind. And you put it alongside other social media, sure. But like, what you can do with this, the value that you can get from this is so ridiculously huge. And that's why it's so awesome that you're here learning this stuff, because you're going to crush it. You guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. So with that said, let's go start a new chapter and go to 24. Have I been unfair to anyone? And if so, in what way? Right? You gotta be nice, fair, wholesome. Obviously, life isn't fair, but, try your best. Especially on a team environment, you want to make sure that everybody feels included and valued. And, going back to look at Twitter just for a minute. Oh my God, Twitter's story is just so amazing. I'll probably talk about more in the general membership here, but like, this guy, it was just an idea. It's just a thought. I want you to see this. I want you to have this belief. Twitter, huge million dollar company now. Massive. But it all started as an idea. And obviously this applies more to some of that earlier content in this course. But just remember that, like, everything. I look around me. There's a couch over there. There's a TV over there. There's a camera right in front of my face. I'm wearing a microphone. Everything starts writing on a computer, right? As an idea. Now let me ask you a question. Do you think the person who invented bottled water was like crazy? They might have been, I don't know. It started out as an idea, and one single person led that movement. They created bottled water. How cool is that? How awesome is that? That product changed lives. Without a doubt, it has fundamentally shifted our entire society and allowed us to be more mobile. It's awesome. That's so cool. Started out as an idea, turned it into a reality through physical actualization. I know we talked about this earlier, but I just want you guys to remember how important this is. And with that said, actualization. Let's move on. We're going to finish up our list here, and then we're going to get into the final part of this chapter, which is the power of economics and how you can leverage them with the value that you create. 25, all right? If I had been the purchaser of my own services for the year, would I have been satisfied with my purchase? So basically, would you be your own client? To be honest, I will not sell anything if I would not buy it like for twice the price I'm selling it for. Usually about 10 times the price I'm selling it for. So for my book, right, it's like a $35 book on Amazon. There's no doubt in my mind I paid $350 for that book. Because I know what's in it, and I know how powerful it is, and I've seen the impact that it has on so many people. The impact it's had on me, the impact it's had on my students. I mean, it's just amazing. That book fundamentally changed your life. It's insane. Probably 10x the price. I would, like, honestly, the content in 9 to Noon is literally taught in $4,000 coaching programs, or $4,000 like courses. And like all of that, I've personally seen them. I've seen people pitch thousands of dollars products over and over in different atmospheres and industries. I saw one guy who was selling an options course for $1,000, and it was like one chapter in the book, and it was crazy because. Anyway, I'm not gonna like blow up my butt the whole time, but like the point is, you want to be your own client. You want to make sure that you would 100% buy whatever you're selling, because you want to be able to buy your product. Everything I sell, everything that I promote, I own. It's just not a question of matter. I work for this company, right now, and we're selling like online marketing services for local businesses and optimization for Google. Like, I own their product. It's amazing. I use it for my interacts. It's killer. I wouldn't, you never sell something that you wouldn't freaking use, or that you wouldn't buy. Put your money where your mouth is, buy it, and then figure out if it's something good. Like everything I promote, all the books I promote, all the courses I promote, I own all of that. I am my own client. All the tools I share with you for trading and investing, those are tools that I found after going through minimum dozens of tools. And I found the number one things that work for all industries and aspects of investing. These are some of the brokers I share. These are some of the bank accounts I share. I found these by going through a bunch of other crap in the marketplace and then figuring out the perfect thing for me. The perfect thing for 99.9% of people, because it's just ridiculously great. And I am my own client. So if you're trying to sell anything, if you're trying to provide any amount of value through direct, product or service sales, or even if you're trying to be like an employee, ask yourself, dude, would you be your own client? Would you hire yourself? Like, I would hire me. Holy crap, I would hire me. Would I hire me to do my portfolio management? You bet your butt. I don't sell that, right? Because I'm not even selling my time. But I mean, I'd pay a lot of money if I could hire me and give me like a bunch of money to manage. Whew, be awesome. I'm able to do that for myself. Why am I able to do that for myself? Read 9 to Noon, freaking wrote 9 to Noon, but like the concepts and everything's in there. You guys apply that stuff, you're going to be killing, you're going to be crushing, you're going to be outperforming 99% of people in the marketplace, 99% of people in the stock market, 90% of people in any asset market. If you can master it, trade for a year, I mean, guys, you're going to kill it. And that's the power of investing in yourself, because you're increasing the value that you bring and therefore increasing the likelihood that you would hire yourself which increases the likelihood that other people hire you or the marketplace hires you. You can sell something in the marketplace, something like that. Make sense? All right, cool. Number 26. Has the purchaser of my services been satisfied with the service I provided? And if not, why not? Do you have happy clients, Happy clients. This is why I always make sure I over-deliver. If you over-deliver, you're going to have happy clients. Over-promise to get more clients, over-deliver to make them happy, and you'll be solid. The supplies that work, the supplies as an entrepreneur, whatever you're doing, if you're working for somebody, do more than is required. If you're studying for school or something, do more than is required. If you're selling something, add in more than is required than the basic, right? Create a tremendous amount of value around something so that it's more than just one core product. So for me, like I sell the book alone's huge, right? But I bundle it up. I'm like, here, I have my trading course. Here, I have my picks. Here, I have all this other amazing bonuses. And then I do a bunch of stuff that's just freaking free, like the podcast, YouTube, Stock Market Secret, Stock Market Secrets podcast, my YouTube, personally. All that stuff is a huge amount of value added. At no cost to other people, right? And then obviously like behind the scenes with Facebook and Instagram, that stuff's huge, right? It's huge for creating value and over-delivering to create happy clients. So apply that same mentality into your growth, into your business, into your personal life, and you're gonna be freaking crushing it, which is awesome. All right, 27, 2 more, it's exciting. Am I in the right vacation? And if not, why not? All right, this is huge. Are you working your A game? Are you working your ideal skill? So for me, right, like this is team management, group growth, and overarching corporate strategy in the startups I run and the other companies I manage, and obviously the online marketing and the development, and then also, night and noon trading. Like I love night and noon trading. It's so awesome. Like financial analysis, portfolio management, it's amazing. My favorite thing in the whole world. That's my A game. My ideal skill is not, making sandwiches, right? So make sure that, when I was working at Subway, I got a ton of value from the teamwork, right? I talk about this so much before, and you guys have seen the video, right, where I talk about everything. I learned all the amazing, grateful things that came from Subway. It was awesome, so much growth. But it got to a point where my growth leveled off, right? When my growth leveled off, what did I do? I looked at where I was, I looked at my life, and I said, am I working in my ideal skill? I said, no, I'm not. What'd I do? I freaking got out of there. I had the gain, I had taken in these skills, and now I wasn't growing anymore. What's that mean? Give it a little bit of time, give it a little bit of time. I gave it a little bit of time. I gave it about, I'd say another 3 or 4 months after I realized that I probably wasn't getting much out of it anymore. And that's when I really started getting into the stock market, because I had to find something else to go to. That's when I got out of there, man. As soon as I was confident in my ability to invest, turned in that 2-week notice. Make sure you're working in your ideal skill. You can master your A game. If you can do that, you're gonna freaking crush it, and that's awesome. So let's go to 28. What is my present rating on the fundamental principles of success? Make this rating fairly and frankly, and have it checked by someone who is courageous enough to do it accurately. Rank yourself. And also have someone else hold you accountable, right? Accountability partner. You want to make sure that you know where you are, because if you know where you are on this here, for instance, on this curve, right? If you know that you're this blue dot, and let me just get rid of bam, okay? If you know that you're right here, and you understand that you want to be right here, you have to be able to rank yourself and figure out where you are. You don't want to accidentally think that you're here, or accidentally think that maybe you're like somewhere near this bottom part. You have to accurately rank yourself and have somebody else check and say, hey, do you think I'm right here on this growth curve? Apply it to whatever your industry you're in, right? Whatever your metrics are. So metrics might, for me, it was social engagement and skills. For other positions, it might be, your closing rate. It might be your number of clients. I don't know, whatever you do. Maybe this is your trading profitability and you want to get to 75% of your trades are winners. And you look at the numbers and you say that you're at 50%. And I don't know, maybe you're at like 20%. Honestly, if you're at 20%, you have a 1 to 5 risk reward ratio like we talked about earlier, you're breaking even. So all you gotta do is increase a little bit. You get to 50% with a 1 to 5 risk reward ratio, you're crushing it. You're doing amazing. So sometimes you don't need this. And I talk about all this so much more in chapter 35. So just read chapter 35 and look at the profit pyramid or the profit trifecta. Because that's a really, really powerful tool that you can use to really understand how to maximize your profits trading stocks. So yeah, cool stuff. Awesome 9 to noon principles. And those are the 28 things that you can do on your day of reflection. Answer them, write out the answers, be detailed, be clear, understand exactly where you're coming from. Again, this is page 145. Get the book so you can use it without looking at technology, because you don't want to use technology on a reflection day, and you'll be a-okay. So with that said, you got that taken care of. We're going to go into the last little part of this and we will be done with today's module, which is super exciting. Hill talks a little bit about like food, shelter, and clothing here. I don't really know why. He's just kind of like helping you find opportunities to accumulate riches, and he focuses more, instead of on adding value, he focuses more on like saving money, which is awesome, and living frugally, which is great. I know people that live on like $1,000 a month. That's awesome. Just make sure that you have food and you're well prepared for yourself. And if you can increase the value that you bring to the marketplace, and you can increase your income and still save 40% of what you make, then obviously you can increase your lifestyle, which is pretty nice, right? Who wants more money, right? Everyone does. So what do? Create more value to get there. And then he also talks a little bit more about how capitalism is the freaking coolest, and how it's so awesome that you can have a hamburger without like killing a cow and farming lettuce and getting like yeast from a bun and then cooking bread and then like creating dairy cheese and like processing the meat into a burger. And he also applies it to breakfast, so like orange juice, grapefruit juice, eggs, butter, tea, like not having to go to China to get tea. Like that's cool, I guess. It makes you grateful that like society has capitalism. Again, this was written about 100 years ago, so like I feel like this might have been a little bit more impressive when cars didn't drive themselves. But like, yeah, life's pretty awesome because of modernization and globalization and industrialization, and I guess now the information age, because you're watching this video and this course, which is super cool. This is me, right? Isn't that cool? I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, be thankful of capital, and then obviously the need of capital to create an exchange of value in the marketplace, which is pretty interesting considering the move into cryptocurrencies and the state of centralized banks right now. It's really cool. I'm reading a lot more about it right now in Faith by Robert Kiyosaki, and I'll link that book review video below. You guys can check that out, because that book's really good. Like, it's fundamentally shifted how I think about money and applying that into investments, especially into real estate and gold, which is really interesting. It's really cool. I definitely recommend you guys check out that book review below. So with that said, there are 2 economic advantages a capitalistic system. First advantage: all who seek riches must recognize and adapt themselves to the system that controls all approaches to fortunes, large or small. So basically, number 1, everyone is in the same boat. We're all in the same system. Now, the way that you approach that boat and the way that you act can differ, right? Are you going to accumulate assets? Or are you going to live paycheck to paycheck? That's your choice, right? and hopefully some of the trainings and the books and everything that you're consuming here on this membership area are going to help you accumulate assets and grow real savings and retirements with compounding long-term investments, which are just going to make you a ton of bank, which is awesome. Number 2, it must present the side of the picture opposite to that being shown by politicians, demographics who refer to organized capital as if it were something poisonous. So you have to be able, to appreciate money and use it as a tool. Guys, please get this down. Money is a tool. It is nothing more than a tool. And you can use that tool to create financial freedom. You can use that tool to create real savings for retirement, whatever you want, anything you desire. It all comes from using this as a tool, right? So just make sure in a capitalistic society, developed through the use of capital, you use organized capital as a tool to reap the rewards, and understand that you're going to have to work, put in more value to get more pay. Right? Makes sense? Can't just freeload around and not put up the value. Because you got to remember, like, I mean, there are railways that are shipping goods. There are boats that are taking out goods. People are working every single day to get stuff done in the marketplace. And a lot of those guys, you know, it's their jobs, right? That's my duck boat. I think it's really nice. And, you know, he's got, like, iPhones in the back of his truck. Like, when he goes and comes from this massive China factory, this factory where they're making iPhones and, like, putting all this work in, all of these materials, right? They've got, like, 1,000 suppliers of I know definitely, like, you know, they got TSM, like the whole supply line that it takes to get an iPhone in your hand at the Apple store. You know, that's a ton of value. So you have to pay for that, right? You have to compensate the system for the value it creates, especially, you know, individual companies, obviously. You got to use money. You have to give the money. So you can't just kind of like freeload around and be like, hey, just give this to me for free, because at the basis of capitalism, you just gotta, you know, exchange capital. That's how you exchange value. That's how you barter. I mean, this is pretty basic economic stuff. And so I hope you guys get this. Hope this makes sense. There's more in this in the book, but, like, basically just understand that, like, it's a free country where everyone can think as they please, but you do have to, you know, pay for crap, right? Like this costs money because it's a value, right? You get paid for value. And that's just how the marketplace works. And that's why with personal education, you know, you just got to overcome that barrier, especially to, like, courses, right? Like, understand that people put in tons of effort and energy and wisdom in those courses or seminars, and use them as educational tools and not scams. Oh my God, guys. Education, any investment in yourself that grows your interior, it's just not a scam. You can't have a scam. What? Like, I try to buy, you know, courses all the time. You know, before I had money and before I was trading and before, you know, with the book and all that and working and the companies, you know, I would, you know, try to you spend your parents' money, right? And I was like, look, I want to get these courses that are going to help me grow and become a better person and have awesome development success. And they were like, no, of course not, right? They're like, oh, it's a scam, right? And it's like, dude, you gotta understand the value that goes into it in any kind of environment where value in goes to money out. And if you can create that value, you are going to create that money. And if you can't create that value, you're not going to have long-term success. You're not going to have long-term cash flow. So you got to put in the value to create that consistent success over time. And there you go, you know. People spend to get what they want when they see value, you know. If you provide more value than the cost in dollars, you get the dollars. That's how you got to this course. That's how you got my book, right? Is because you thought that the value of it was more than I was charging. And it's just a fundamental principle of economics. Not a big deal. With that said, we're going to move on to the last two concepts, which are opportunity and one more in just a sec. Opportunity. Step up. Apply persistence, right? If you're persistent on an opportunity, make it into a reality, it'll happen. Like I said, I called that guy, the GT professor, the marketer. Called him like 32, 36 times in a span of like 3 days, to get that deal done. That wouldn't happen if I wasn't consistent. That wouldn't happen if I wasn't persistent. Capitalistic society guarantees every person the opportunity to provide useful service and to collect riches in proportion to the value of the service. The system denies no one this right, but it does not and cannot promise, this is number 2, something for nothing. So, it will provide opportunity. You will have opportunity. It will not give you something for nothing. Law economics itself irrevocably control system that neither recognizes nor tolerates for long getting without giving. You gotta give more. We've talked about this so much. Give more to get more. And it kind of sucks. Like, I'm sitting here right now recording this course. I don't really know if people are gonna buy it. I don't know who's on the other side of this. But I know that this is something I'm ridiculously passionate about. And I know it's something that can change lives. And I know it's something that I wish I had. And I know so many people that would be massively impacted by it. And so I'm out here making it, because I care. And it's important. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope you guys have seen the value in it. We still have a good ways to go, which is super exciting. Because this stuff will change your life. It's awesome. It's so powerful. So yeah, just make sure stick to it. This is a law that will never change. Everything abides by this law. Can't have something for nothing. You got to jump on opportunity. If you try to overcome everything, capitalism, socialism, dictators come out with guns a-blazing and firing squads that are well organized. That's just not where you want to be in society. You want to have rights. You want to have freedom. You want to have speech, deeds, real estate, riches. Everything in the long term comes from quality observations and quality forms of capitalism and marketplace value. And that's why you want to focus. The result of this guy spent 25 years writing this book, right? Looked at every single successful and unsuccessful person he could find. What was the difference? The difference was the successful people took opportunity and they just freaking went hard on it, 100%. Because they had the secret formula and they created those goals and they worked towards those goals. They worked their butts off. They never asked for something for nothing. People that are unsuccessful, people like that lady that I met in that hotel who want something for nothing. She wants the government to pay for her life. Granted, you pay Social Security when you're working. But you really need to, especially as we transition away from pensions, which are just basically gone at this point, government funded or private. It's more into this idea that you need to create your own financial future with assets. And you need to give to the system, not the government, but the system, financial system, or any kind of investment system, so that you can create real savings and retirements by actually controlling your own portfolio. And that's really the power that comes from your individual ability to freaking crush it in the marketplace, give a ridiculous amount of value, and overcome all obstacles to go out there and crush it every single day, over and over and over. It just comes down to these divine principles. So please, please, please apply them. Keep them in your mind. Hopefully you guys are taking notes. Taking notes is a great way to remember things more than just sitting here listening to some weird guy talk. I would highly recommend you do that. And use these 28 tips and the reflection questions. Use them in one of your days of reflection as on your dopamine fast, whatever. We talk more in the general area. But these are really, really powerful questions that will change your life if you can answer them and give you ridiculously higher amounts of clarity, competence, and future conviction. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you got a ton of value out of this. Go out there, crush it, and I'll see you in the next module. Thanks. Bye.